So, hello guys. Today we will discuss a new essay which came in 2021. Essay is Real is Rational, Rational is Real. So, this quote is from Hegel. Okay. And he said this, and his quote is related to mostly what ideas are mainly should be pursued, what ideas should not be pursued, and then development of those ideas happened to like and many others philosophers like Kant contributed to it. But the problem is we might not know this. People who are from political science background or sociology background, philosophy background, they might read this while studying for their optional. This quote, they must have read it. But for a person who has not studied any of these optional, he might not be aware of this quote from Hegel. So the first question is there any advantage to people from sociology or political science background for attempting this essay? So the answer is no. There is no clear like pattern that people who have these optionals score higher in essays. People from different backgrounds, like for my optional is maths, but I've scored decent marks in essays always. And most of the times I have written on these philosophical topics. So actually, on the contrary, if you have such optional, let's say political science or sociology, the problem is when you read this quote and you know this quote is from Hegel and you know the particular context of this quote, you tend to limit yourself. Okay. And because you limit yourself to the particular context, your essay ceases to become multidimensional. And then other thing is there will be uniformity. So uniqueness will not come to your essay because every optional guy will be writing similar context. On the contrary, person who is not completely aware of the context, he will interpret this quote according to his own understanding, according to his own example, according to his own knowledge, and he will try to bring something unique and new. Okay. So there is a better chance of writing a good essay if you can clearly think of good examples, good context, good theories to support your arguments. It doesn't matter that you know the context or you don't know the real context. You just need to understand the crux. Okay, so without any further ado, let's start with this essay. So this essay said real is rational and rational is real. It is what is rational, it should be real, and what is real, it should be rational. So again, like in I talked in the last video, so we will think about one thesis. Thesis is like arguments in support. Okay, and then we will think about the antithesis, and then we will give a way forward synthesizing both the arguments. Okay, antithesis, that is against arguments against it, and this is will be your way forward of the essay. Okay, so this is the way to go. So let's start. The first thing is essay comprises of two things. First thing is like if anything is real, it should be rational. And if anything is rational, it must be real. Okay, this is my thesis part. I need to think of examples in support of this. Okay, so what are the things that you always see which you think are real and all also rational? The best example of these are scientific studies. Every scientific phenomena is based on rationality, and they are real also, right? Every scientific phenomena is real. You can see it, like you can see gravity, you can see volcanism, you can see, okay, lot of such phenomena happening around you, wind patterns, wave patterns, and all can be rationally judged. Okay, so what is real can be rationally judged. Why something real? What is something real that can be perceived rationally? Because it can be tested, it can be analyzed, okay, it can be objectively identified. These are some features of something which is real. It can be understood, objectively identified, analyzed, it can be tested. Okay, and all these require some rationality, that you can rationally judge something. Okay, so that is the first thing, that if anything is real, it must be rational. If anything is real, it must be rational. For example, evolution is real, right? And you can apply rational principle to conclude or to give evidence in support, right? So you have to think of things which are real and which are rational also. Okay, which are rational also. You can give example of any scientific phenomena. You can think of evolution. You can give about any scientific discovery, and you can build a story around it. That would be a great way to start. Okay, so anything that is your uh, real must be rational, because it can be rationally perceived, it can be rationally judged. Rationality means logical thinking, critical thinking. Similarly, anything is rational comes to reality. Rational becomes real. In this case, I have very many of you must have heard about Noah Harari, right? He wrote a book called Sapiens. He wrote a book called Sapiens. In that, he gave a concept of imagined realities. Imagined realities. That's things which are not real. If you think, okay, they are not tangible, but the intangible realities that help us to grow, that help us to cooperate with each other, like the governance systems, like concepts like money, right? So they came into being because of their rationality, because of their logic and its usefulness, utility. Because it was very rational for humans to devise such instruments, to devise such system which can help them cooperate with each other. And that's how everything grew. So that is the first thing, imagine realities. Okay, what are the other things where rationality gives to real phenomena? Okay, so when we study quantum physics, okay, so there are many phenomena which we were not able to understand completely, and that gave birth to the concept of dark energy and dark matter. Okay, and many models confirm it. So this reality was born out of rational or scientific thinking, right? So this is another example that you can use. Okay, so what is rational becomes real. Here I will use my pastel approach. Okay, pastel approach. In politics, you can give the idea of democracy. Okay, on what not just democracy, actually the idea of state, the idea of nation. All this comes from rationality. There is no other basis. If you see the countries, a state, nation state is not a real entity in itself. Okay. But they become reality because of their rational use, their utility, or there's a good basis for it, good rational basis for it. Right. Similarly, in economics, the biggest thing that you are everything is based on is money. And money itself is not real. If you read it, what is money? It is just a method. The rupee note that you hold is just paper. It has no intrinsic value in itself, right? But still it's very valuable because of the imagined reality that we have perceived. This is not real in itself, but it became a reality because of the rationality that backs it. Because it is easier. It makes our life easier. It makes economy more robust. Right. Similarly, social institutions. If I say S in social institutions, any like institutions like family, marriage, they all were born out of rational principles. Okay. Because we needed to fulfill some basic human needs. What's some basic human needs? Okay. Need of like uh, propagating our DNA or propagating our progeny. We need some emotional security, sexual security, right? Financial security. All these are provided by family, right? All these are provided by our family. So that is also comes out of rationality. Okay, so whatever you see, because of humans' rational decisions or over the time, lot of institutions, be it social, political, or economic things, came into place. Similarly, if you see in technology, what is rational came to being? Internet, right? So that is laws. All laws are birth of rational ideas. Okay, because we need a fundamental rules to govern the society. So what is real must be rational. That should be judged on the basis of objectivity. Okay, can be tested. And what is rational comes to being that we establish through use of imagined realities, like examples like dark matter, different example in polity, in polity about nature, idea of nation state, social contract. You can talk anything, lot of things you have now. Okay. Now let's come to the antithesis. That is, what are the argument against it? That what is real is always rational. Is that the case? So my argument is reality need not be always rational. Fine. How can I say that? We have hundreds in. Does war make any rational sense? No, right? We all are human beings of one race, but still you're fighting over something, stupid thing sometimes, right? Does environmental degradation or climate change, okay, or our human actions or lack of effort toward ameliorating the situation, does it make any sense? Is it rational choice? No. We know if we don't work for our planet now, in few years, the planet will be uninhabitable for us. But still, we are not doing that. That shows that we are not, reality is not always very rational. Okay. Terrorism or any other such social evils. Okay. Social evils. They are not always rational. Hundreds of things you can quote like this that which are not rational. Biggest thing is religion is always not rational. But isn't religion a big reality? Okay. Especially in a country like India where we are like have multiple religions, multiple communal clashes also. Right? So this is a reality. Religion is a reality of society. But still, is it always rational? It is not always rational. Best example is human emotions. Are not human emotions real? They are real. Are they always rational? No, right? So many social issues, social evils, wars, okay, all these things we can quote as that when reality need not always be rational, and give examples. Don't just quote ideas, give examples. Give example of World War One, World War Two, or quote IPCC reported environment and see that is despite such a big threat, we are still not working towards a carbon neutral future. Quote terrorism, quote social evils, say that how radicalization is growing throughout the world and instances of lone wolf attacks are increasing. Okay, quote out religion and how religion is one of the biggest impediment in rational behavior of humans. Okay, how it is impeding gender equality, how it is impeding scientific temper in the society. Okay, quote how human emotions, okay, propagate greed, okay, or negative social values, selfishness. Lot of things are there. All these human emotions are not always rational, right? So that is there. Hmm? Now, similarly, second part is rational need not always be real. Rational is not always real. How can I say that rational is not always real? Okay. So gender equality is very rational things. Okay. Very, very rational. So here you can quote what are the benefits of gender equality? Okay. Social capital will increase. Okay. Then Christine Lagarde says around like I think there will be increase of 26% global GDP. Gender gap is narrowed down, right? So similarly, you can quote. So all these make very rational sense of gender equality, but still society is dominantly patriarch, right? Patriarchy very dominant thought in our society, despite many benefits of gender equality. Oh, example being Bangladesh. I'm not saying that Bangladesh is very gender equal, but because they provided good employment opportunity to their women, their growth has been tremendous, right? So this makes sense. This is very rational choice, but is it reality? It is not a reality, right? Similarly, representative democracy. A true democracy can be a growth enabler, but still you will see many countries or many like democracies not functioning properly. Electoral malpractices are going on. Okay, caste-based mobilization, religion-based hate speech, all these things are there. Okay, there are many dictatorships, despite democracy being a very rational choice. Okay, then one quote of Rousseau is, "Man is born free. Man is born free, but found in chains everywhere. Is everywhere." Okay, what are these chains? The chains of greed, right? And there are other chains also, like social, uh, like for if I'm born in a lower caste, there will be I will be bogged down by the chains of society, gender caste discrimination, all these kind of chains. All these are not rational, but very real thing. Caste discrimination is not rational, but very real thing. So all these chains which hamper the growth of human, which hamper the capacity building in society, which hurts the social capital in society, communalism, caste discrimination, gender discrimination. All these are realities, but not rational things. Okay, all these are not rational things. So this is how you can like talk about like This is your thesis and this is your antithesis. Like what will be a synthesis? Synthesis, you will say that you can quote Kant that man is a rational animal. Okay. Man is rational and our action should be based on rationality. Okay. And you can, or you can quote Buddha, Buddha's Ashtang Marga. Okay. Ashtang Marg consists of right vision and right thought. And this right vision, right thought can be compared with rationality. Okay. And you can say that this should be guide to our life. We should try to, obviously we cannot eliminate, okay, irrational elements in our thought, but we should try to be as rational as possible. But is rationality always required? No. We should always be compassionate also. Like emotions have their own place. Okay. So that you can talk about it. Okay. That rationality should not be devoid of compassion. So rationality plus compassion should be there. Rationality should not be devoid of compassion. And then other thing is the reality is multifaceted. Okay, what we call reality, it has many facets. Especially you can see that in the Buddhist philosophy of Anekantavada, Sayadvada. Okay, the single truth can be approached from different perspectives. Okay, because reality is multifaceted, so diversity of thought, diversity of perception should be encouraged. We should not get rigid about it. Okay, so this is the synthesis. So you can think of many ideas. My whole, like I gave you few examples that you can use and you can debate. I didn't write this essay in the exam because I was not very confident I could write a good essay on it. Okay, so this is the thing. But if I have to, like, one of the most important things in an essay is your beginning, that is your intro. So the here, what are the ways in which you can introduce it? If you know this was a quote from Hegel, you can directly start from that context. If you don't know it, okay, if you don't know how to start, like what is the context, then you have to think about it. So like here, I can use imagined reality concept, right? Imagined reality concept of Noah Harari, like from Sapiens book. Okay, and because this is totally related to this thing, because this is also talking about rational things coming to reality. And because I'm giving a example in support, in the intro itself, I will give a counter example also to balance it out. What counter example can you give? So if any one of you have read game theory, in game theory, there's a concept of prisoner's dilemma. Okay, prisoner's dilemma. So what is the prisoner's dilemma? So prisoner's dilemma is something like that. If everyone does something, okay, if everyone works for something, then the result will be better. The outcome will be better for everyone. Okay, but because every prisoner wants to get himself only free, he ends up getting a lesser deal. Okay, so that is your prisoner's dilemma. So you can quote that, because why prisoner's dilemma? Because although it is a very rational thing to do, the rational decision in prisoner's dilemma is prisoners must cooperate with each other. Okay, but they don't cooperate. Most of the time they don't cooperate, and they end up getting a higher sentences. Okay, so this goes against rationality. The prisoner dilemma goes against rationality. One example can be how we treat our global commons. How we treat our global commons. Global commons are like oceans, open oceans, or glaciers. You know, the collective heritage. We don't treat them. We over exploiting it. We are not protecting it. Although we all will like we'll all we all will have to face very, very harsh consequences because of these, but still we're not protecting them. Okay, this is like tragedy of commons, you can say, the tragedy of global commons. This is also thing, lot of things can be used, like many things that we discussed in our last essay, like I talked about Maya, right? This can be discussed here, because the world that we perceive as real is not real according to the concept of Maya. The whole world is a Maya. So although we think, okay, this whole world is rational and everything, but this is not rational. This is, according to Hindu philosophy, this is a very irrational thing, chasing these worldly pleasures, because everything is illusion. It is not real. Everything you can put. The thing is, you need some 8, 10 things to write in the essay, and you need to structure your essay well. Like I always structure as like thesis, antithesis, synthesis, because that creates the flow. You can have your own flow also. There's nothing wrong with that flow. Okay, so this is the thing. So again, okay, if I have to summarize my essay, so in thesis, first I gave ideas of real is rational, and to prove this I used scientific discoveries like evolution. Okay, and then I gave the concept of what reality and rationality, that it can be objectively analyzed. Okay, objectively analyzed, it can be identified. Okay, it can be tested. Okay, so that I talked about. Then rational is real, hundreds of examples can be easily thought. Rational is real. Okay, so here I talked about your imagined realities. Okay, the term imagined realities, I in the intro itself I will use this term. Okay, that Noah Harari talked about imagined realities and that show the rationality, and then I will give the example of Prince's dilemma also. But the examples from this, like democracy, okay, institutions of marriage, social institutions, all this I will deal in the pastel way. That is, I will take one paragraph, I will give imagined realities from politics, imagined realities from economy, that is currency. Okay, currency, stock market, everything is like, if you see our systems based on rational principles, that became a reality. Okay, social institutions, technology, okay, and environmental phenomena, laws, everything I will deal with it. Okay, then in antithesis I will again, when real is not rational, real is not rational, so I will give examples of wars, I will give example of social evils, terrorism. Okay, all these are realities but not rational things. I will give example of environmental degradation. Again, here you can pastel approach can be used. Okay, one example from two examples, or one paragraph each writing on politics, economy, social. Okay, here you can talk about human emotions, you can talk about religion, social issues, terrorism, inequality, global warming, wars, all things can be taught. Similarly, rational is not real, but not real. Here also you can again use like pastel things. So gender equality is rational, but it is not a reality. Caste discrimination is a reality, but not rational. Right? Reproductive democracy, democracies are weakening. Okay, India's ranking democracy index is very hot, around 140. Okay, if you remember some quote, you can talk about. Okay, so rationality, like for example, Kant says that a rational person must follow his duty. He's not treat another human being as a means to an end. But that's not happening, right? It is not. It is very rational thing to do. Like for following deontology is a very rational thing to do. But do we? But we don't do it. right? So you can think about, then in the synthesis, that is way forward, you will say that how our actions, okay, we can not be always rational, but we can try to be rational. Okay, and here you should use fancy ideas as much as possible, like I like Buddha's Ashtang Marg. Okay, let Buddha's write like this, that let Buddha's Ashtang Marg, right vision, right livelihood, right action, right thought, be our guide to lead a rational and benevolent life. Okay, our rationality must not be devoid of compassion. It should have good emotions. Okay, love for others. Like this, you can write and you can give ideas how to develop it. So, how to develop it, you can give ideas of humans should be emotionally intelligent to minimize irrational emotions, right? Emotional intelligence. So, impart emotional intelligence education among children in colleges, in right? All these things. So, similar ideas. So, whatever you say, with every generic idea, try to incorporate something practical. Like when I'm talking about that we should, our action should be guided with rationality. So I'm also giving that, okay, we should impart emotional intelligence so that we can minimize the damage done by emotions. Okay, that emotion do not become hindrance in rational or critical thinking. So you should also give such examples. Okay, so this is all from me today. Okay, and I hope you like it. So have a good night. Bye.